Greeting, traveler.
I have no time for games.
The end is coming! Who am I?
Let me change your mind.
You require my assistance? Adios! We're gonna be rich.
I have no time for games.
Inferno! You require my assistance? Who am I?
Let me change your mind. Greeting, traveler.
Good evening, everybody. It is Wednesday. You know what that means. Yes, we get to start making hump day jokes. Yes, we get to start. We get to start talking about how that we are that much closer to the weekend. And of course, there's always a third point that I never remember, but that's not the point. The point is, most importantly, we are here for Tavern Talk, the show where we like to make hot takes and bad takes alike, sometimes within the same sentence. I am, of course, J.R. Juggalo, one of your co-hosts, and I'm here with my two main gentlemen slash co-hosts slash partners in crime, and we are here to bring you guys a good show for tonight, and hopefully get some interesting conversations going along the way. Starting off, we have my comrade, the master of OPs, the man who is not part doctor, but is definitely part Fish. Say hello to Dr. Fish.
Hello, everybody. What's going on?
And of course, we've got my other comrade, the man who I've once compared to both a flower and an element in the periodic table. Say hello to Geranium Battle.
Wait, you've only done that once? You did that every week. This is
not literally once, but okay, all right, Mr. Technical.
No. I have to get back at you at some angle after losing every other angle that I've had. We've wrapped it out, and now you've proven your team is the better.
Yes, so I'm sorry, Vino. There will not be a second rap battle tonight, but maybe in the future. We'll see. I will make no promises, but I will not rule it out either. Now, anyway, this is obviously we had a big week last week of THL. First week of matches since the nerfs. Seemed to be like everybody was really enjoying themselves. Rogue's still continuing to be a pain in the ass in some form, but definitely not as problematic as it was before. And overall, we're still seeing a pretty decent diversity in terms of the classes that are being brought. I think this time around we're going to be seeing if the meta starts to define itself a bit more. If any of our predictions from last week, as far as the way the meta's shaping up, start to come true. And yeah, we're gonna definitely. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how this all unfolds. We are also, of course, in week 7 of THL at this point, which means for all the series that we're talking about left, there are 2 weeks. After this, there are 2 weeks remaining. So we are going to definitely be getting close to that discussion of the playoff picture, the teams we think are going to make it, the teams that we think are going to just miss it, and everything in between. So I think, Fish, do you want to? Shall we get started with the Hero Series discussion?
Sure. First match on the screen. After this week, we will be getting closer to the playoffs, so we might have a clearer picture of what teams need to do in their matches. But we have our first one up on the screen.
That's right. My match, I decided to go with an interesting one between two of the more like teams that are doing fairly well for themselves, but are somewhat in the middle to the upper half of the pack. I am, of course, talking about at Diamond versus Korak City. Both these teams with very strong rosters. They've definitely had a decent number of wins, but also a couple losses here and there. At Diamond, as we see here, starting off with a 3-0 with Wild9 taking a 3-0 over the Big Ted. I honestly thought that matchup was going to be closer despite the PR difference, but as we've seen, Wild9 plays in the 1 seed in Legacy, so having him in the 3 seed in Hero is more than a little absurd, if you ask me. But of course, this is going to be an exciting one. I'm very honestly trying to pick my favorite of all these matches is pretty hard of the ones remaining, because of course we've got always Just in Time versus Ron Mexico, which God, I haven't seen those two play, and I really want to see them play against each other. Turtle versus Dante, which is, as I would like to put it, battle of the lovable nerds. Diamond versus Anful, which is the battle of the top-notch 4 seeds. And then finally, Super Buckles versus Quaz, a.k.a. I forget if Quaz has a nickname. Does Quaz have a nickname?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But just battle of the 5 seeds then. Looking at this one, though, it's interesting because I think like Korak City has the edge definitely in the 1 and the 5 seeds. After all, Ron Mexico is definitely he's on a tear of a season right now, 5-1. Best record out of any of the players on these teams right now. And while we all know Justin is an absolute beast, he definitely doesn't have the same momentum on his side right now. And Ron can definitely give him a run for his money. Turtle versus Dante, I think, is actually really close. That is, that Turtle is he definitely belongs in the 1 seed. Dante, you generally see more in the 2, but he's definitely shown he can keep up with a lot of the good 1 seeds, so I wouldn't rule him out. And knowing that I see the classes here, it definitely makes me wonder, is there like someone I should be favoring based on the brings? Because the thing that I'm most curious about is that Turtle brought Mage. And that is, I'm not sure how I feel about Mage in the current meta right now. It's definitely, I definitely have very mixed opinions. Diamond versus Anvil, I think, is actually also very close, despite the PR difference. But I guess I would have to give the edge of Diamond just based on PR and based on the momentum he has right now, 4-1 versus Anvil's 2-4. And yeah, so I guess based on that, I guess it's really going to come down to, it's going to come down to the 2 seed, really, Dante versus Turtle. So I am going to give the slight edge to at Diamond because it's very hard for me to bet against Turtle. But I don't really like to bet against Dante either, so I wouldn't mind seeing a good underdog story here. We'll see what happens. What do you guys think?
Yeah, looking at class springs, I'm going to favor Turtle and Diamond in their matchups. I think Diamond bringing Priest here is pretty heads up. Shadow Aggro Priest is actually pretty dang good into most of Anfal's classes here. Pretty handily beating Hunter and Warlock. And then going pretty even with Druid and Shaman. Meanwhile, Turtle bringing Mage is going to probably do pretty well against both Shaman and Warrior. Druid would have to be hard teched to be one of the slower Druids to really have a great time against Mage. And then Warlock is also looking very good into Shaman Warrior here. Paladin from Dante could be very interesting though, so we'll see whether Dante can sweep back with that.
That's you know what, I like where you're coming from there. It definitely does. It is definitely nice to see when the players bring classes just to kind of see, like, based on that, what do you think is the more favored matchup there? Fish, what about you?
I think it's interesting. PR between Diamond and Alpha, I think Diamond is pretty favored in that. Quaz versus Super Buckles, man, Super Buckles is getting super close to his first THL win, and it would be really cool to see him get it this week. I know beginning of the season not doing so great and wasn't really getting many points, but has been consistently getting points over the last weeks as he's essentially learning the game of Hearthstone. And so we have Turtle and Dante is actually, I think, is a pretty close match. Ron versus Justin is so interesting. That's I would love to see that match get played out.
Same.
So, and we always see Wild9 with the sweep. Like, I don't think the sweep would have influenced my picks, because if I didn't see the result, I think I still would have favored Wild9 over Ted. Because Wild9 is like, he really shouldn't be a 3 seed in Wild. A 3 seed in Hero. My apologies.
Wild9, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, Wild9 should not be a 3 seed in Hero.
Which is ironic, because he started out as a 3 seed in Legacy, and that seemed pretty appropriate. But
yeah, he's grown. He has grown a lot since he started in THL, and definitely his PR is caught up. I think at Diamond, I think Ron takes it. I actually think Dante can get the win here, for sure.
I definitely wouldn't rule him out. That's for sure.
Yeah, Diamond versus Onfall. I think Diamond. I like the point Uranium brought up about Priest. I think Priest is a really versatile class, and it can definitely play well here into Onfall's lineup. And Buckles versus Quaz. It probably goes to Quaz. But I think the points. I think at Diamond can just, even if the matches don't quite go their way, I think they can still get the points to win the week.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a 4-0 is always great, because it basically means, like, if you're able to win 3 matches, you're most likely going to just have that series locked right then and there.
Yes.
That's always the toughest part about it.
Yeah.
in addition to sweeps just always being demoralizing in THL, I can't think of a time I've ever been swept and didn't feel a sense of demoralization afterwards.
I did once because I was subbing in Wild, and it was just a learning experience. But
Yeah.
otherwise, no, it always feels terrible to get swept.
Yep.
For sure.
Playoff pictures wise, Korak City is currently on the bubble here.
Yeah.
So
Yep, that's another.
This is a pretty important week for them if they're going to start off 0-4 here. Might be looking at some other teams just outside of the top 4 that are squeaking by to try and get in.
It's definitely close, because a reminder for the format, it's going to be the top 3 teams from each conferences are going to be automatically locked into playoffs, and then the final 2 spots are going to be decided by the 2 teams among the remaining 8 with the highest number of points, regardless of conference. So, looking at the point totals, obviously that could end up being a fight between several big teams right now. Right now with Purple Conference, it looks like the bottom 3 teams are in a pretty tough spot with only 3 weeks left. And then for the Teal Conference, it's a much closer fight all around. So I think this is going to be, we're going to have to really see how these next couple weeks shape up to get an idea of where these teams stand. But Korak City-wise, I definitely think they have a pretty, they definitely have a good shot, even if they happen to not win this week, but obviously a win for them would be really important given the current standings. I think that covers it. Do we want to move on to the next match?
Yeah. All that preamble out of the way, let's get to my pick here.
You call it preamble, I call it much needed analysis.
Yeah.
Well, I call it a preamble because right now we're talking about another on the bubble team here with F2L Black versus Mega 5 seed out of a Molehole, which is currently the second place team in their other conference, which is Teal. I remember things. So yeah, actually the points for each team looks very similar to last match. Each team coming in with 90 and 87 points respectively. Once again.
Right.
But F2L Black looking much better in their conference with a sort of a 20-point gap between them and the next team, versus Korak City has I think less than 2 points, maybe just 1 point, but between them and the next team, and then 10 points between them and the team in last place in their conference. So going to the actual matchups here, though, Make a 5 seed out of a Molehole has Super Chicken in the 1 versus Neji Boston. Both of them not doing as well as I'd expect, which means that one of them is going to continue to do even worse than I expect after this week, which is crazy. It's like having 2 0-3 teams going up against each other when neither of them should be 0-3 here. Nine Eyebrows versus Rebob. Both captains, both 5-1, both in the 2. It's just that one of them is on crossover near the top of it, and the other one hasn't quite made a crossover. C-Mac versus Itachi here. C-Mac and Itachi both should not be in the 3, and both aren't doing as hot as I'd expect them to. So. That should be a crazy match. Skirt Reynolds versus Dr. Fish. Once again, another crazy match. Both 5-1. Both of them were 5 seeds and have climbed up to the 4. And then once again, You Kitten Me versus Chewbacca. Chewbacca calls himself the best 5 seed, and here he is in the 5 versus You Kitten Me, who's been proven themselves quite well. So honestly, I think these are high tier matches up and down the board. Which I will give the slightest edge to Molehole on the backs of Skirt Reynolds, and I think I'm gonna give the edge to Super Chicken over 0-6 Neji. But Neji really should be getting a match by this point. So really hard.
I mean, this one is an interesting one to look at just because you've got some matchups that are like most of the matchups, with the exception of the one seed, are all pretty close in terms of record and in terms of PR, or at least like relatively speaking. I think Nine Eyebrows versus Rebobson, I will give the edge to Rebobson because just not just because of PR, but because of experience. And I do think Itachi is gonna get himself a nice win to bounce back this week. But both the excuse me, Dr. Fish versus Skirt Reynolds. I mean, if anybody thinks I'm gonna bet against my boy Fish here, you need help. Go get help. And then I actually will agree. I think Chewbacca. I mean, look, he's my boy. Love the man. I think I'm gonna bet money on him there. So personally, I think it's gonna be a 4-1 F2L Black. But I do think it's interesting how both these teams are in very similar positions. They've got two players that are really popping off and really putting in some great work for their teams, with only one loss. And then, of course, the other three players are like sort of finding their way, but struggling. Obviously, Neji being 06 is still absolutely ridiculous, but I also have no doubt that if they need him to come in clutch, he will, even against a player like Super Chicken.
Yeah, it's so interesting. None of these matchups, besides me versus Skirt, happened last season. Me and Skirt played in the 5, and Super Chicken and Neji Blossom played in the 1. Yeah, so he and I played against each other in the finals last season. Super Chicken played Neji, but Nine Eyebrows was in the 4 seed against Nice Jewish Owl. And obviously Molestar was playing in the 2 seed. So C-Mac just is playing Itachi instead of Rebobson. Rebobson's having an outstanding season. I'm excited. I always am excited for this match. I wasn't expecting to have to play Skirt Reynolds up in the 4 seed, but I'm obviously up for the challenge. My greatest rival in THL. I am quite happy to play Skirt. It's always fun. Kitten versus Shu. I think if our team is gonna finish the season strong, it kind of has to come from either like Shu or Neji kind of have turning it around from their sliding. Like Neji has been playing very, very well. Neji's been playing pretty well like every week. Just not being able to get there. And Shu started 2-0. Really, really hopeful. I believe he can definitely turn it around but it has to start this week. There's not that many weeks left, and our schedule doesn't get any easier from here. So, let's do it. I believe in our team to get the win this week. It's gonna be tough. Every point at this point, especially being in the bubble, as Bowmaster so aptly named his legacy team, all points matter. So yeah, this was one of the matches I had circled at the beginning of the season, and we're here, so it's gonna be fun.
I kind of want to make a Joe Swanson joke from Family Guy, but I'm gonna save that aggression for another time.
Right. So, one more hero match left. We've got my match pick. I picked No Pros here versus APM Yin. So we have Posca Squad versus JR's team. Obviously, it's captained by Bone Masher, but JR's on the team, so it is of course both of your teams. Matchups: Asian PWE against J Rich. We've got Your Mumked versus Venus Bomoni, Skittles versus JR Juggerlaw, Posca versus Trudeau 2, and Clarity versus Snipe Hunter. So there's some very interesting matches here. Agent PWE versus a surging J Rich. PWE definitely like having a decent season in Hero. Obviously, he won MVP last season, so it's kind of hard to say that they're having. It's kind of easy to just say, oh, they're having a worse season, but it's pretty easy to slip to not be putting up like 10-1 season. You're getting like Hero's so stacked. Even more so, even though we added an extra 2 teams. Ked versus Vino. That's also interesting. It looks like Ked's undefeated, so he's having an absolutely stellar season in Hero. Has reached 550 PR. My favorite match in this entire set is actually JR versus Skittles.
I knew you were going to say that, and I appreciate it.
Because Skittles, as someone who I had on my team at one point, I think that both of you are two of my good friends in THL. We've got Posca versus Trudeau 2. That's a clash of titans down there, and Snipe Hunter versus Clarity. Clarity has been having a very good season in Hero. It's cool. It's nice to see him coming back and getting some good match wins. Snipe Hunter will be his biggest challenge, for sure. As pretty much there's 2 4 seeds on APM Yin, but one of them has to play the 5. And I think J-Rich continues his upward trend, goes to 4 and 3.
He's won the last 3 in a row.
Yeah, and
does need to be noted.
Takes the week over Agent PWE probably in a close match. Your Mum Kid versus Vino, man, it's tough to look at 6. I mean, the records are very similar, obviously 4 and 2, 6-0, both having great seasons. I think Ked on a roll. I think he'll take that one. Skittles versus JR. I'm gonna say JR wins, and it's an even match. You're under PR'd in Hero, for sure.
Yeah.
So I think for sure that it's gonna be a close one because it's two seeds playing in the 3. Posca versus Trudeau 2. I'm gonna say it goes to Posca. Posca's having an outstanding Hero season, and I want to see him continue it. And Clarity versus Snipe Hunter. Snipe Hunter is cracked. I will pick Snipe Hunter. So I'm gonna say 3-2 APM Yin. They're not even that far apart in points from No Pros here. Despite just because they're in second place in purple doesn't mean it just means that the team above them is getting 20 points a week and is could probably almost lock the bye week next week. Yeah. So
Uranium, what about you?
There you go.
Yeah. I'm gonna give the arguments against what Fish just said a little bit. I
knew it.
Hey, whoa! I'm providing more information here, is what I'm doing.
Oh, I'm not faulting you. I'm just saying I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah. So Agent Pee-wee in the 1 did get MVP last season. However, he was surrounded by a team that wasn't able to get wins. And so like all the rest of his team just unfortunately floundered. So No Pros here didn't even get to playoffs last season. This season, he's surrounded by a bunch of team members who are all carrying him to the finish line here. So he doesn't really need to get his wins. And maybe we're seeing that with a 3-3 record here. J Rich, of course, is very cracked. Has a 3-0 record the past 3 weeks. That just means he has an 0-3 record the first 3 weeks. Easy. Your Mom Kid versus Venus Mamoni. Both Your Mom Kid and Venus Mamoni deserve to be in the 1. Venus Mamoni was in the 1 2 seasons ago, and sort of held his own there. Your Mom Kid is sort of being blocked by Agent Pee-wee here from being in the 1. So yeah, I think Vino just took a very big week last week against ABC. I only think that because I'm on ABC's team. So I think Vino is going to continue that streak and actually upset Your Mom Kid here. And then Skittles versus JR. I like to sort of look at Skittles, and instead of looking at the skills he brings to the table, I like to look at the TE that's in his name. And yeah, I think he's gonna bring his A game and his B game and his C game and all the letters to beat JR.
What about his Z game?
That's the end of his name. That's the alpha and the omega. He's gonna bring it all.
Oh, okay, all right, just making sure.
Then Posca in the 4. Posca got the BGH last season, so it's not really much of a surprise that he is 5-1 right now. But even though he got BGH last season, he did have a pretty bad season. I think he only got like 2 wins.
Yeah.
All last season.
That.
And that's in Trudeau 2's name right here. That's going to be Trudeau 2's week right now. I think Posca can get the BGH, but Trudeau 2 has proven that he's very consistent in all these different series. And then Clarity versus Snipe Hunter. You're backing Snipe Hunter, but Clarity is a pro. He is in the pro series. He takes wins off of some pretty big players.
Yes, he is.
Their win records aren't that different right now. I think Clarity's going to take this one, which means that's going to be Agent Pee-wee, Skittles, and Clarity winning it for no pros here.
All right. First of all, I will give you credit. Clarity did beat Ron Mexico last week, and that was pretty momentous. So I won't take that away from him. That being said, I also want to point out, look, no pros here. I've said this before. I'm a big fan of Posca, big fan of his teams. He is one hell of a captain and arguably one of the best captains in THL, right up there with somebody like Sage, for instance. But with all that said, as much as I love every single person on this team and think they are a force to be reckoned with, I really do believe in APM Yin, and I've been very impressed by how we've been acting as a unit all season.
Yeah.
Jay Rich was really the only person who had initial struggles, and he's obviously managed to turn it around since then. I mean, going from 0-3 to 3-3 is damn good, and it's been very helpful and beneficial to us. Coming into this week, I think, despite the fact that no pros here is obviously a very strong team, and I know that between them, F12 Black, and Golden Wisps is our last 3 matches of the season before playoffs. We definitely have some tough matches ahead of us. But with all that said, I definitely have faith in us. I mean, as far as J Rich versus PWE, I really do think Jake Rich is going to be pretty unstoppable going forward. I think he's gotten all of his bad RNG out of the way. I think he's just ready to take on whoever he faces. Vino versus your mom kid. I haven't told Vino this. I meant to in our chat, but I'm honestly really happy that he's playing your mom kid and not me, because I have a terrible track record against him. I'm like, Jay Rich, I'm not jinxing you, don't worry, I just have faith, I promise. But your mom kid has like beat me the last 3 times in a row. I beat him like once in Legacy, and then he proceeded to just wreck me every other chance that we've played. So it's like, I think Vino has a better chance of beating him than I do. He's just proven to be my kryptonite. Me versus Skittles. Skittles and I are actually 1-1 against each other, so I'm very curious to see how this match plays out. I don't recall if we've played in Hero before, though. I think both of our matches were in a Conquest format. So it's going to be fun to watch that unfold. He and I are actually playing tomorrow night. So I'm definitely thinking about what am I going to bring, what am I going to do against him this week. Posca versus Trudeau 2. I love Posca. I think he's having a great season right now. But I also am genuinely under the belief that Trudeau, as long as he doesn't make any misplays, he's got this in the bag. Both of his matchups were due to mishaps on his part, one of which where he miscounted. And last week he mentioned that he accidentally rolled over his classes and just wasn't quite like in the right mindset for his match. So I think this time around he's going to rectify that and get a big win against Posca. Clarity versus Snipe Hunter. The thing is, Clarity is really good, especially in the 5 seed, but Snipe Hunter's on a tear, man. He's doing the best on our team out of everybody. So I'm not going to say we win 5-0, but we're definitely winning. We're definitely winning this week.
Okay. I love the confidence. And I have been informed of results for the first match we talked about at Diamond.
Wait, what?
At Diamond versus APM.
Oh, I was going to say,
team.
no match from this one has
No,
played.
from our first match, which is at Diamond. They already won the week. They're up 12-2 now. Turtle swept Dante. Turtle sweeps Dante and Diamond reverse sweeps on fall. So
what?
Yeah. They played pretty early. I knew Diamond was playing during this because he's about to play his legacy match in a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, So the week has been won for at Diamond. Now it's just Korak City scraping points in the last two matches. But big congrats to those players.
Yeah. I'm just surprised. I mean, I'm happy I got both of those match predictions correct, but at the same time, I was not expecting this.
Yeah. I mean, it's just how match order goes, right? Like if match order was different, we might be looking at just saying, oh well, they got the week win. Like say like the other matches get played out and like it's super close. Like, I mean, I still think it can end up super close in points because the other team could tie the week with 2 sweeps back. We don't know. Regardless, Hero Series. That concludes that segment of the show for the week. Good luck to all the teams, and let's move into Pro Series, where we start off in the Black Conference. So, JR, go ahead and take it away.
So I decided to go with Clowns Reloaded versus the APM Pro Team, also known as Avenging Prophet Murabi. I decided to go with this one because at the moment right now we see that Clowns Reloaded is absolutely killing it in Pro. At the moment, so the thing that I'm very surprised by is that they are they're one of two. That right now there are 2 teams that are basically dominating each conference. In black, we've got Clowns Reloaded, and then pink. While Swagoy's at the top right now, which is actually very impressive considering they're only 3-3, they are probably going to fall back considering they have not had their bye week yet. So it's really Brushy Tuna that's kind of in the more or less in the lead right now.
Yes.
But Clowns Reloaded undoubtedly has the most points out of everybody. They are just ahead of F2L in the Black Conference. But needless to say, these guys are just killing it. And when you look at this roster, as we've talked about these guys before, it's pretty easy to see why, since we've got ourselves a team made up of Nails, Pascoa, Kalis Luna, Neji Boston, and Bank Yugi. Players who are either GMs or have competed on the Masters Tour level multiple times. So I feel like that kind of speaks for themselves. But the APM Pro Team also has some very solid players on it. Saber 220, Reverb, ABC, Magnificent, and Chewy. So, I think at this point, I think Clouds Reloaded are, they're in a very good spot right now. But I really do want to highlight APM just for the fact that this is a team I think that might be the most likely to give Clowns a run for their money, considering their 1 through 3 seeds are all 4-1, just like Clowns Reloaded's 1 through 3 seeds. And even though their 2 seeds on the bottom, are not performing as well and could end up being big wins for Clowns, I wouldn't outright rule them out. I think that this is going to be a close match. I do think that Sabretooth is going to take it over Nails. I think Pascoa will take it over Reverb, and I think Kalis Luna will take it over ABC. But I do think, oh god, actually this is hard. I thought I had this figured out, but I mean, I'm gonna say Clowns Reloaded win 3-2, but I'm gonna say Kalis Luna, Neji, and Pascoa will win their matches, and I'm going to say Chewy and Sabretooth win for APM. So this is going to be interesting. I'm obviously not as well-versed on Pro as some other people are, but I definitely think that APM could really pull off a big upset here if their 1 through 3 seeds especially can really maintain the momentum they have right now.
Yeah, so a lot of these players have all ended in the very, very top of ladder and have made their MT spots based on ladder placements, or already had MT spots, or already were GMs,
one way or another.
Yeah, but yeah, Nails and Neji Boston, and I think ABC. I might be wrong about that. I think they all.
I only know the Clowns players.
Yeah, but Nails and Edgy definitely got in the ended in the top 50 And so, like, even the players that aren't GMs on Clowns Reloaded are top 50 legend players qualifying to MTs and everything like that. They are absolutely cracked. So it's, even though Avenging Prophet Marabi, the players are at 4-1, and even though, like, I back Magnificent with my heart and soul against many opponents, and I'm on a team with ABC. I back him against many opponents. It's still very, very hard to see a team putting up a huge fight against Clowns Reloaded. Clowns has a loss in every single player, so it's doable. They have cracks.
Yeah.
They can get losses, and they could all get a loss.
Mhm.
I just sorry, I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna see that until maybe playoffs.
You mean when Clowns Reloaded losing?
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. They're just like the clowns. The funny thing is, there's two clowns that we're going to be talking about in this episode, and both teams are undefeated and absolutely
No,
wrecking.
we're not undefeated.
Sorry.
Sag.
Both. In fairness, you guys were that team was undefeated.
We were undefeated
last
until
week.
last week.
So, regardless, both these teams are on an absolute tear and killing it in their respective series. So, something's going right in that, with both of those teams.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting week. I think it's going to probably be the proverbial 4-1 for Clowns potentially. I think Saber has a good chance against Nails if Nails doesn't. We'll have to see what Nails' lineup is this week. I don't really know what they're gonna plan. But
I mean, it's always hard to gauge like how these matches.
No, like because Nails brought like 4 Highlander decks last week against Memnar.
Whoa.
And he lost. So Nails took
wild though, right?
No, he just brought 4 1-of decks to the standard last week.
How do you play a Highlander deck?
I mean, it was a challenge. It was a challenge that Dardar built his lineup for him.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, it was. But I think that's why I'm saying, like, I think if I feel like one of the ways that one of the ways that it could go wrong is I think that Nails is still a perfectly capable player, so I feel like he can kind of win with any lineup. I think that I'm gonna say that Saber wins. I'm gonna say Pascoa wins. Kalis Luna versus ABC is a tough one. I don't really know ABC's. I hear ABC talked up all the time by Bone Masher and Geranium having him on the hero team. I think that's a close one. Could go ABC's way. Neji versus Magnificent. I'm gonna back Neji. He's having an outstanding pro season. And I think that continues. Bank Yugi versus Chewy. Chewy struggling. I didn't necessarily expect that for Chewy to struggle as much, but I think Bank Yugi gets the win. So it's likely 4-1, possibly 3-2. But I think Clowns takes the week. This is a good match. If Avenging Prophet Marabi gets a lot of points, even in a close loss, it sets them in good standings for playoffs. I will note that Clowns Reloaded is in first place in Black Conference with a bye week having passed, and F12 hasn't had their bye week yet. And I think F12 is the final bye week team in Black Conference. So, Clowns is on top with 5 weeks played out of 6 possible weeks. So they're cracked. I'm very happy for the team.
I am too. It's just like Pro has gotten to the point though where it's so remarkably stacked in general that it says a lot when any team is honestly able to stand out.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
I really feel like it speaks to the volume, quality of the competition in Pro, which is also part of the reason why I'm not playing, because I can't handle it.
Yeah. I also couldn't.
It's like, woo!
I also couldn't. I also couldn't handle playing 4 series this season, or I might have
See, I
tried.
can't even handle playing 3. I don't know how you handle playing.
Oh, I don't know. I. It's all good. It's a lot of time commitment, but we get through it. So yeah, close the book on our first match. Why don't we go ahead and look at Geranium's pick for Pro this week?
Yes, I am highlighting a pink conference match. We just looked at black a little bit. Now we're going to look at the top team in pink right now, Swagoi, versus Popeye's Spicy Chicken Sandwich. This is a team that does not have their bye, Swagoi, versus Popeye's, who has had their bye. They actually are kind of comparable on points per week because of that. And yeah, I mean, Swagoi is certainly at the top of the leaderboards right now, going into the final 3 weeks, and we'll see if they stay up there, because Glee is facing Lambeseers. Glee is one of the last undefeated players in Pro right now, but Lambeseers is a GM and doing much better than last season. Just
Yeah.
crazy. No Glocko versus Always Just in Time. No Glocko doing insane this season. Playing against some of the best players in Pro, and Always Just in Time is another one of those, one of the best players in Pro. So, very tough week again. Jared Pullet versus Honest Zabe. To be honest, I don't know as much about Jared Pullet as I'd like to, but Honest Zabe, always done very well. Dad legend player, 1 seed, really. Get some good wins, and I don't know about getting a win this week against Jared Pullet, but next is Risen versus Myanodon. I mean, like, I can just keep going down the line and saying how cracked every single one of these players is, and I will, because next is Edelweiss versus Mr. Beluga, and Mr. Beluga is 1-4, and how is he?
How is he 1-4? That was my question.
How is Beluga 1-4?
He's so good.
I'm the biggest
Struggle.
Mr. Beluga fan in the world. Come on, man.
Struggle. He's on the struggle bus. It's so sad. You're turning me into Mr. Beluga fan number 2. So I really like him. I've watched him. I've watched replays of him when he's played Neji. Very good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's So he's doing very well in Legacy at least. But yeah, in Pro, I think he needs to turn up.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping for him. I think Mr. Beluga is going to turn up against Edelweiss. I think Lambeseries is going to be the one to end Glee's streak here. We're probably going to see the results actually later on tonight, since we are getting Glee's ban in right now.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Some players like to ban early. I have no confirmation on when that match is. I was refreshing during the stream in case it happened, but yeah.
Yeah, it just might be an early ban, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I'm actually going to.
Oh, thank you, Glee.
Yeah, okay, it is tonight. I'm going to back No Glocko in the 2, and I'm going to back Jared Pullet in the 3. And then I think Myanodon clinches it, makes it a 3-2 win for Popeyes. But very close week, and I'm glad to see how well Sugoi is doing this season.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these teams actually came from pretty mediocre seasons and are doing extremely well. So, I'm glad to see it, and glad to see them both at the top of the leaderboards.
It's interesting because Swagoi is coming out this week in a very interesting position, because I can't think of a situation where we've had something like this. A team that has an even record, and even with the whole, them having one more match ahead of everybody else, is still at the top of the standings for their conference. It's very weird to see, especially when you consider that, there are obviously several teams that are below them, Brushy Tuna and For the Boys, that have a fairly better records than they do, but they're still averaging
Yeah, that's just
a good amount of points per week.
Yeah, they're third in points per week in the conference, I believe.
They are. You are correct.
So, like, Rushy Tuna, and then for the boys, like, if once, because Swagoi is the final bye week team in pink, so they really have to put their best foot forward in the next 2 weeks because they don't play in week 9. So
yeah,
this is a must. This is very. I like that. I really like Uranium picking this because it's a very important match for both of these teams.
Right.
Because Popeyes and them are pretty much, like you said, comparable. They have very similar points per week.
Exactly.
I think, and I think I'm gonna favor. I am a big fan of Glee. I'm gonna favor him to win tonight. Go to 7-0. Glocko versus Justin. I think Glocko wins. Jared Pollitt versus Zabe. I will give it to. It's close. These next ones are kind of all close. I'll say Zabe in the 3. I think Risen takes it in the 4, and Beluga in the 5 gets his second win on the season.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be close. I think that.
I mean, I'm not betting against Edelweiss because
no, it's tough for me to vote against Edelweiss. I think I want to see Beluga. I'm more doing this because I want to see Beluga get a win,
which is fair,
and get the season turned around because I know he's a good player. But that's like a battle of 2 of my favorite. Like it's a battle of 2 of my favorite people.
It's tough. I get it. It's like you often find yourself having to predict matches where you don't want.
It's almost as pick as toughing when 2 AFG people play each other.
That's fair.
Because I usually just refuse to pick those.
And I was going to say, that's a special kind of difficult for you to have to.
Yes, for me as someone who's in the organization, to pick against one of my teammates is.
But it's
picking
also
against one of them is tough. Yeah.
But you're also pretty close with a lot of the AFG people, so it's like, man.
I am, yeah.
I mean,
it's a nice
I really like both these teams.
Yeah.
Popeyes, correct me if I'm wrong, they haven't won a championship, but they made a finals, right?
They made a finals against Hype Horizon.
That's it.
When
yes.
Hype Horizon won their what is now their, as of now their final championship.
Right. Their second, was it their second or third? I think it was their second, wasn't it?
Second, because their
they
first
have at least 2.
Because they beat. I think they beat For the Boys. Yeah. You did beat Hype Horizon in finals.
Yep.
But that was that was before Popeyes went to the finals against them.
Popeyes. That was
Hype Horizon. I thought has
For the Boys.
won.
For the Boys did win that season that Dabs is talking about.
Yeah. They did win a season, and I think For the Boys did play Hype Horizon in the finals. No.
I think he's actually right. I think they played Spicy Chicken.
Oh,
in the finals.
So
yeah,
it was
okay. Right.
So it was so it was For the Boys.
I got confused too. Yeah.
Okay, it was For the Boys.
Thank you, Dabs, for the clarification.
Thank you, my boy Bobby Dabs.
Oh boy. Yeah, no. So they do have a finals, and then of course you've got Swagoi. I love a good underdog story, and Swagoi, like they're a very underestimated team, but they've got some really good players on it, and I love the fact that I obviously love the fact that they're an organization that is represented by members of their organization, and when I see that, like, even if they're not the most stacked roster from top to bottom, I think they're still a solid roster from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And I really think that, when you look at a tough competition like Popeye Spicy Chicken Sandwich, and I look at the records and like the matchups right now, I really think Swagway actually has a good shot here. So I'm not betting against Glee right now. He's on a friggin' roll, and I've said this before. He's been in THL for a long time, despite a brief hiatus that he took. But he is a force to be reckoned with, and I do think he could help take this team into the playoffs. I think No Glocko is going to be just in time. As much as I'd love Justin, he's amazing. No Glocko, I think, with that 5-1 record and the momentum he's got, I think it's going to pull him through. I do think Zabe is going to take Jared Pullitt in the 3. Risen versus Myanodon, I really don't want either of these guys to lose, if I'm being honest. But if I have to, put gun to my head, as they say, I'm going to go with Myanodon, and then I'm going to say Edelweiss takes the 5 seat because I'm not betting against her. I got my money, my not real money, of course, but my gentleman's money is
Yes.
is going to be on Edelweiss, and I'm all for it. I'm all for this.
Uh, by the way, before we move on to the next match, since I think this is the only one where we actually have classes, decks for the players, I am going to quickly go over them.
Oh, okay, sure.
So Glee right here has it is a Fell Demon Hunter. It is a Fell Demon Hunter, Quest Shaman, Owl TK Warlock, and a Charge Warrior.
Yeah.
And then Lambie series brought what is a Belly Druid, that's Ramp Druid, Libram Paladin, a Bolner Shaman, Bolner OTK, and then the classic Hand Quest Warlock. And I don't know, I feel like Owl TK Warlock has a slightly harder time against this lineup. Usually I see it doing very well against more aggressive classes, and,
Yes.
and Lambie brought, it does a little bit worse against Shaman, more of an even rather than a very favored like Quest normally does. And then against Druid, especially the Ramp Druid, has just a harder time. So I think maybe the LTK is gonna be one of the weak cruxes of Glee's lineup here. And then the Charge Warrior, I'm a little bit more suspect on as well. I know we've had some new warriors that are doing very, very well. Charge Warrior was sort of the last of the maybe unrefined warriors as far as I am concerned.
Yeah, super interesting bring. I looked at it and I was kind of expecting a Control Warrior. But then I saw Charge Warrior. I was like, oh, this is interesting.
I mean, there was a list that was sort of going around over this past week. Actually, this is admittedly a bit different from what I was seeing that from Monsanto, but I do really like the concept behind this because
Yeah.
Monsanto's whole thing was basically you try to make a big combo of Rattlegore into Faceless because most decks don't really have an answer to that kind of board, and you try to play it all at once with the use of To the Front, which is the card that reduces the minions you play by 2 for the turn. But this list is actually really cool because it's also incorporating a Vandar strategy, which makes it even easier to make those combos happen in one turn. So
Gotcha.
I'm
Yeah,
very
I did see the Vandar there. I really liked it.
Yeah. So I like this. I actually really do like this lineup. I will say I still hate the fact that Owl OTK is very much a deck, but I also feel like it's hard to complain when the Mithril Rod is at least not nearly as powerful.
Yes,
as it was.
a big agree. I agree with that.
Like I don't want to be too upset that it's still playable, but I hate the fact that like I don't know. I was playing against Turtle on ladder randomly, and I was so tilted after he beat me because I thought I had the edge. I had him life, and he just went crazy and killed me in one turn, and I was just like, no, like it was very disheartening. So I do hope that I do want that deck to kind of die in a fire, but also I respect it.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that Rune Mithril Rod used to cost 3.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean, it did cost 3.
It's kind of in hindsight looking at it, like how did that cost 3 when you consider how like we've seen how reduction cards like Emperor Theresian was so powerful.
Yeah, and Thorison's always been 6.
I think and I think the only reason we didn't even think, oh, this could be overpowered was because it had actually been the first time since we had been given a like mass cost reduction card like something like the Rod, and they probably thought, well, it's also a weapon. If you play weapon destruction, you can deal with it. But that's it's not really a good argument against it.
Yeah, I will say that the Showstopper in the TK Warlock is a pretty funny tech.
Showstoppers, Showstoppers being played a bit, yeah.
I was wondering what that was about too, because like I was like, wait, what does this do? But I realized it's just like, if you really like there's a lot of ways in which the silence could be helpful against certain matchups. So that's pretty nifty thinking, I gotta say.
But yeah.
Dabs is a Miracle Priest tech. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Miracle Priest is especially like where you're gonna see with all the death rattles and such. It's definitely going to be it's definitely a powerful card in that
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think this is
I-
cool looking at these lineups. But
Yeah.
we do have. I think we should move on to our
Yeah.
last Pro Series match. That would be Fish's pick.
Yeah, I picked F12 versus Taggers.
Gee, I'm sensing a bias here, Fish. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
bias towards I really want to spotlight Taggers because they've been doing really well the last few weeks. And so is F2L. Honestly, F2L is a 4-1-1. Taggers is 3-2. They're pretty far apart in points. But F2L notably hasn't had their bye week, and they are the final bye week team in black. So they really need to put up their points now. Matchups, we have Robobson versus Battle Tagger. We have Marty B versus Rice Bowl. Itachi versus Seth. We have QSNS versus Otters. And Berserk versus Lasagna. So we do have classes for decks for Robobson and Tagger. For sake of time, I'm not going to go into all of them. Because I did look at them ahead of time. But man, these are just fantastic players around the board. I know that Itachi hasn't played for the last few weeks of pro, and they've had Owl coming in and subbing. And Owl has done
Not just any
well.
owl, nice Jewish owl.
Yeah, so NJO's been coming in and subbing for F2L and doing well. So I think gosh, trying to fully remember their lineups. I know Robobson has Quest Priest is his priest deck. Tagger has brought like Face Hunter, Mozaki, probably Poison, some form of Rogue and a Warlock. Robobson I know has brought. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a Control Warrior, knowing Robobson. I think I think that as long as Tagger can kind of dodge the Hunter versus Warrior, the Charge Warrior or the Control Warrior might have a little bit of a difficult time, I think, into this lineup. Potentially. I still don't know the matchups perfectly. I'm gonna say Battle. I'm gonna give it to Tagger in the 1. As much as I love my captain Robobson, for my hero captain, that is. I think Marty versus Rice Bowl, super interesting match. I'm gonna give it to Marty. Itachi versus Seth. Itachi coming back to pro. I think I'm gonna say Itachi in the 3. Otters versus QSNS. I don't know much about I do not know much about QSNS, and I know that Otters is just a very, very good player. I'm gonna favor Otters, and then Berserk versus Lasagna. Berserk. Somehow 2-4 and struggling in pro, but Berserk's an excellent player. I think he'll take the win over Lasagna. So, yeah, I think it's a 3-2 week for F2L. Obviously they can definitely can do better, but I see it as a close week. And if Tiger keeps having these good weeks, I think they'll get closer and closer to playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear why Tagger has an entire team called the Tagger Fans.
Yeah.
Is
excellent player.
Yeah, very, very good player. At the top of all series that he plays in. But so is Marty B. And
Marty?
You know what they say about wild players coming into pro? I don't remember. So yeah, I mean, I think that that Taggers has one of their hardest weeks. They have the 3 hardest weeks sort of coming up as their final 3 weeks. And F2L is one of them. F2L hasn't had their bye yet. That's maybe why it looks like there's such a huge point discrepancy. But really, it is just about
comparable.
1 week ahead. Yeah, it's about a 17-point week. I think it's 16.3 or something. So F2L is like 1 point ahead or something of Taggers. Yeah,
Yeah.
very close. I think that F2L is going to very barely take it off the backs of Marty B. I think QSNS and Berserk.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no. I'm gonna say Itachi Berserk. I think Otters has the slight edge over QSNS more so than Seth versus Itachi. But yeah, I mean, all these players are very, very good. Rice Bowl, Rice Bowl, always the top of every team as well. So close.
Right.
I don't. This one's hard to call. I just think at this point, I guess like when it comes to, like F2L obviously has the slight edge, but the records there isn't a huge discrepancy. F2Ls and Taggers, so I'm gonna say Robobson wins in the 1. Oh God, Marty versus Rice Bowl. I gotta go for Marty in the 2, Itachi in the 3, Otters in the 4, and Lasagna in the 5. So I'll say 3.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Very close, though. Very close.
Yeah. In the interests of time, unfortunately, we should just probably move on. Really good match, though. Honestly.
A lot of good discussion
But,
tonight.
but we have a whole other series to cover, so we're gonna go ahead and do a quick commercial break, and then we'll go ahead and get into our final series.
Luckily, we have Geranium to do this commercial break super fast.
Yeah. I'm definitely ready. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in to Tap Talk. If you're enjoying our show, make sure you check out Reynolds the Maniacal Tournament series on Mondays and Tuesday on Heart Center, and someday you'll never guess. Perhaps you're looking for the missing 4 series, or looking at the Wild West with Wild and Out. You're still asking, where's my content? Where we stream THL matches each night from Thursday to Sunday, starting at 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern. Side effects may include knowledge and fun. But wait, that's not all. We also have incredible matches on weekend afternoons on School Stone, because that's 7 days are subject to availability. Speaking of which, please consider subscribing to our Twitch channel. This subscription enables the THL team to help cover the various costs of operating our website and improve the quality of our streams and content to our viewers. And I see someone asking in our chat, what is Twitch Prime? Well, Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime or Prime Gaming is a way for you to sub to the channel for free. All you have to do is go to the little purple button right below the stream. Go ahead and click down that, scroll down a little bit, get to that sub for free button, and boom, that's how you sub to the channel for free. So hit that hard button and keep notifications on to make sure you catch our team streams live. We appreciate each and every single one of you. Special note to our viewers, check out THL's other social media points of interest. The website is at teamhearthleague.com. I said it correctly this time. Follow us on Twitter at THL_HS. Join us on Discord at Team Hearth League, and the THL PW podcast is going strong wherever podcasts are sold.
Pow. Yeah. Well, thank you for that wonderful commercial break. And now, going back into our final series, Legacy Series, starting. We have cross conferences this week, so we're starting with Gold versus Red. Here, go ahead.
Oh boy. So as I alluded to before, not in any subtlety whatsoever, my pick is Clownstone Academy versus F2L White. I'm going to keep this one pretty quick because I think this one is kind of self-explanatory in terms of two powerhouse teams going up against each other. Obviously, Clownstone Academy, they're still on a tear this season, despite the struggles they had last week in obtaining their first loss. But they're going up against F2L White. I feel like, if anything, they're now in a better spot to win because that last loss, I feel like, is probably just making them hungry to get revenge on somebody and, like, just go utterly, bonkers against whoever their opponent is. But F2L White is definitely going to be a hell of a fight. That rhyme was not intended. I'm going to say Neji Boston is not going to take down Rabab. I think it's hard to bet against Neji right now. I do think Base is going to take down Myanodon. I think Slat is going to take down Arden. Obviously, I have to bet Diamond against Anful. Not just because of the record, but because he's already beaten Handful in the hero. And I'm going to say Dr. Fish beats Totino's Pizza, so it's a close one, but I am going to say it is a 2.
We have to stop this F2L on F2L violence.
Oh gosh, yeah, I know. Teams are playing each other.
That is pretty accurate.
Well,
yeah.
Neji and I are on the Neji and I are on the hero team. That's about it.
Right.
All the F2L connection we have here.
That's
yeah,
true. Actually,
it's a good week.
That's enough though.
I don't. Yeah, I'll let Geranium give his talk about it.
I think I remember Totino's Pizza. So there's a lot of players. I think I remember Totino's Pizza going about even last season. Oddball had a slightly worse season. Went about even as Slod.
Slod killed it last season.
Slod did very well. And all three of them are doing quite well for themselves right now. And then Rebobson is obviously killing in every single series. Rebobson started, of course, in the 2 here and is now in the 1, where he probably should be. And that's the unfortunate thing for him, is now in the 1 he has to face against Neji Boston, and now Myanodon still has to face Based Inc. Neither of which I think either of them wanted to face. That being said, Rebob can probably just, quick threaten to kick Neji off of one of his teams or something like that and get a win in the 1. I think Based is going to get the win in the 2. Slod, Corden, I hate betting against Corden, but Corden basically goes just about dead even every single season, which is great for every single team that he's in. He usually goes like a 1 or 2 wins above. But I think this is going to be one of the weeks where he goes just a little bit under. And I'm going to give it to Slod. Diamond in the 4, I think is going to continue to just take his every single win he can get here, and he might go up to the 3. And then Fish versus Totino's, I think, is actually very close. I am going to give it to Fish, though, over Totino's. And that means, man, I haven't calculated any of this up at all. That means, I believe, a 3-2 or 4-1 win for Clownstone, based on whether Rebob is able to make a good enough offer to Neji.
Yeah, I mean, I don't usually predict my teams. I know Base is gonna look to bounce back after a close loss to Classy Thug last week. Neji as well after a close loss to Wild 9. Rebobson really wanted to face Neji. I know that because obviously that was something that was talked about in our hero server. I'm super excited for this week. Diamond and Anfall they are playing now. So good luck to both, but obviously I want Diamond to win. Corden versus Slod. I think they're both excellent players. I think on classes, it's close. I think that Slod's Demon Hunter, because he didn't really hit any aggressive decks, might have a bit of a tough time. Meanwhile, Corden does have Hunter and Druid to go that his a potential Demon Hunter can kind of do well into. So I think Corden's gonna take it in that match. I guess if I was to predict that one, but yeah, I mean, super exciting week. This whole week was like matches I kind of had circled for my team. But yeah,
Legacy, I feel like has, not just because there's like 12 matches going on at a time, but there's just no shortage of exciting matches to choose from.
Yeah, for sure. So really, really good stuff. We do have 2 more matches to get through, and I know that this one is another one of our co-host matches, and I know Geranium picked this one.
Yeah, I can't let JR escape this one. Unfortunately, it is
You act like I'm actually upset by this development.
it is the number 1 team in silver, the Cooler, versus Illinois Death Knights, a team that is sort of on the bubble in a gold conference. The Cooler is absolutely killing it. I'm pretty excited to see it. I've been back in the Cooler for a few weeks now, and they've been absolutely doing numbers. And so much so that Icer is now in the 3 instead of in the 2. So that means JR maybe escaped playing Icer, but now has to face Bremen on an absolute streak.
And I'm sad because I wanted revenge on Icer too.
Yeah. Looking at the different matchups here, it kind of just based on win rates alone, it looks a little bit sad for Illinois Death Knights, but I think they actually have quite a few avenues here. I do think Earl in the 1 is probably going to beat Sebiek, but then I think I'm going to back Bremen against my co-host, as I always do. I always back someone. I always back whoever JR's opponent is against him. So that's going to be the play here. And then,
well, Geranium, I'm sorry. What happened when you backed Dr. Bomdi in the last week when you did that?
And what happened when I backed Nails against you though earlier this season? Anyways,
I beat him first, so doesn't that matter?
Yeah. Raptor HS versus Icer. I think, Icer should not be going 1-5. I'm probably going to back Icer on that. And then, but Jess versus Superhero, I'm going to back my boy Jess in the 4. Should be a 3 seed for sure. I don't know why he isn't. And then finally, I'm going to back Snipe Hunter over Mighty Biz for a close 3-2 over Illinois Death Knights, which, I mean, hey, the Cooler keeps on winning, but I would like to see Illinois Death Knights making a run for it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the Cooler's having an absolutely fantastic season. And I don't know, I've always just kind of been a big fan of IDK. I think this is a pretty close week. In general, I think and Earl versus Seabig. It's tough when you have players who are having such strong seasons. I think that at that point I kind of like just kind of have to throw out I just kind of throw PR out. But Earl versus Seabeck, I think that seeing Earl actually have a pretty good season. I know he did struggle a bit last season. I think he went what right around 500 or maybe slightly below. And IDK made playoffs last season. And I think for sure that they can do it this season, and it can start this week. I think I'm gonna pick Earl. I'm gonna back JR. And I'm gonna look at classes here. Mage has some pretty favorable matchups. In there. I think like obviously bans still have to come through, but I think I'm gonna back Raptor in the 3. Wow, I think I'm really picking heavy for IDK here because I think Priest is such an interesting bring for Jess. I'm gonna pick Snipe Hunter to continue winning in the 5. He's just so strong in the 5. I mean, I guess to keep it close, a Superhero could win. I think Jess versus Superhero is close, so we'll say Superhero. And so 3-2. I still think IDK is top 3. I predict I'm the win, just slightly.
Nice.
It's gonna be a good week. For sure. And,
appreciate it, Fish.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I won't take too much of your time. I do think that I think one of the things that's important to note with this is that while it's easy to look at having a player like Mighty Biz be 0-5 going into this week, 2 of his losses were during weeks where even if he had won, the matchups, our losses probably would have still played out the way they did.
Yeah.
And we've had some close losses. All of our losses have been pretty close, minus our week 1 loss. So yeah, 2 out of the 3 have been pretty close.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Actually, the last week our loss was like kind of close. Like we had a lot of 3 losses, so we wound up, despite only getting 1 win, that being by myself. We ended up having 11 points altogether. So I guess we've only had really 1 very close loss, and then we've had some pretty dominant wins over the course. The Cooler is obviously going to be a tough opponent for us, but I really do have faith. I think Mighty Biz is just still like trying to find his rhythm within this meta.
Yeah.
I think if he picks up a win, I really do feel like, 1, it would be huge against someone like Snipe Hunter, but 2, I think just to get that first win of the season that he absolutely deserves at this point. But I think even then, looking at the other matches, I think we're in pretty good shape. I don't know much about Bremen. I'm looking forward to playing against him on Sunday. I think it's a fun match. Earl versus Seabeak is... I agree. I think Earl's pretty favored. He's been doing really well so far. He had his first loss in he ended his 4-week win streak last week in a very close 5-game series. But I think he's still got momentum on his side and is definitely in a good position to take a win here. Raptor, honestly, he really shouldn't be a 3 seed, just like Icer. So I really think that he's got a good shot. And Jessbine versus Superhero. I mean, I believe in Jessbine. He's really good. Geranium can corroborate this, so he should be in the 4 seed, and I think he's got a really good shot at winning that. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping it doesn't come down to Mighty Biz winning to have us win, but I'm gonna have as much faith in him as I can, regardless.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, by the way, Jess is doing like very well in pro
Yes,
too.
he is.
While he's not doing
yeah,
it.
he's killing it.
Yeah,
He was saying he's very heartbroken by the fact that his record in pro is better than his legacy and hero records combined, apparently.
Yeah.
So it's very unfortunate to see him doing poorly in the PR series, but like it just shows like he should be doing big numbers.
For sure. Yeah.
So that leaves us with one more match.
One more match, and it's my pick for Legacy. It's a good match. I picked Just Win versus HSA. So we've got the Justins. We've got Always Just in Time, Infinite, Wild Rose, Pokemon 661, and Skirt Reynolds in the 5. Going up against HSA, we've got Hockey Boys in the 1, Ron in the 2, the Big Ted in the 3, Cherub, in the 4, and we've got Chewbacca in the 5. All right. Just in the interest of time, I'm going to briefly kind of say that I think that they are going to continue to just win this week. For sure. It's gonna be it could be pretty close. I think I favor Justin in the 1. I favor Always Just in Time in the 1. Infinite versus Ron. I favor my boy Ron Mexico. He's making a very strong case for that comeback player of the season over in Legacy. Wild Rose versus the Big Ted. I'm gonna favor Wild Rose. I know Ted's an excellent player. Just having a slightly bit of a struggling season. I would not be surprised if he wins, but I teamed with Wild Rose in the draft series, and he's a really good player. And a lot of respect for him. Pokemon 661 versus Cherub. I love Cherub. He's one of my good friends. And he's gonna have a bit of an uphill battle against Pokemon 661. I do think Pokemon takes it, and then Shu versus Skirt. Man, my teammate versus my hero opponent.
Bum, bum, bum.
And it's a battle of 2 5-1 5 seeds. I think I'm gonna give it to Skirt over Shu. It's gonna that's a banger of a match. If I've ever seen one. I think Just Win takes it. I'm saying 4-1. HSA is an excellent team though, so they
Yeah.
can definitely take it themselves and prove me wrong. Yeah.
But like the problem is like you're in a position where it's very easy to justify a 4-1 win over just win based on both the records and the matchups.
Yeah,
So I don't
it
really blame you.
just kind of knowing the players, knowing that the trajectory, like knowing that Skirt is 5-1 in both series he's playing. Shu is also obviously 5-1 here, but kind of maybe slumping in Hero, which could just be because I mean I know last Hero standing is a tough thing to it is a tough format to kind of wrap your head around sometimes, like for sure. But yeah, I think that Just Wins a really good team and is shaping up to be a top contender team for for Legacy.
Yeah, I like it.
I think there is justice in this Justin juxtaposition.
Did you really just do that?
Just now, the Justins will just win, and that is all. Thank you.
Nice, I like it.
My God.
Excellent.
Oh my God.
Right.
I mostly agree with Fisha on this one. I think.
Oh, and Justin won his match for the update. Justin did beat Hockey Boys 3-1 this week.
Well, good thing I was planning on betting on Justin anyway.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say Justin wins in the 1. In Ron takes it in the 2. Wild Rogue 3. Pokemon in the 4, and Chewbacca in the 5.
All right. Yeah.
So
Sweet.
it's so I definitely say Just wins, but 3-2 instead of a 4-1.
Gotcha. Well, that's fantastic. You know, we're getting pretty late. I'm sorry we for kind of rushing through this at the end. But we will have to go ahead and bring it back to our main screen. And just gonna close out this week and thank everybody in the chat for watching. And thank my 2 co-hosts as always. So it's always a pleasure to do this every week with you all. And tomorrow night we have Wild and Out starting at 7 p.m.
Do we not have any matches?
No, because Wild and Out's before matches. I'm gonna get to matches, but Wild and Out is going to be.
Gotcha.
Wild and Out is going to be on at 7 p.m. and then after that at 8 p.m. we're gonna have a Hero Series match. We're gonna have bite-sized AC versus Lupin, which is Hordeon main versus I believe. Well, that's Golden Wisp. But yeah, bite-sized AC is your 5C, correct, Uranium? In Hero.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure that I got the teams correct when I put it on the chart because I wasn't looking at the actual wasn't looking at the website. But we have a 9 p.m. slot open as well if you want to play. So go ahead and you can tag me in the stream match request or send me a DM on Discord and we can get you set up for that. Friday night I do not have the matches, but I have Masaku has said it is full. And I believe I saw that one of the matches is I think it might be Pyro. Sorry, let me look at this really quick. It's supposed to be Pyro versus the Chosen Pie at 8 p.m. potentially in Legacy Series. I'm not 100% sure about the schedule, though. But Saku will have an announcement for that. Salty Saturday. Actually, we're actually gonna have a Schoolstone match this week. Saturday at 1 p.m. we are going to have Rabobson versus Neji Boston on stream. They both wanted to play it on stream, but because of time differences, it was very difficult to actually find the time for them to play that it could be streamed. Even though I'm sure that I probably would have found a way to get it on stream regardless. But yeah, 1 p.m. Eastern, that's gonna happen. Salty Saturday that night, Legacy Series match: Eternal versus Judo Chop, Asian Peas versus F2L. And I don't have the Sunday matches, unfortunately. So again, you're gonna have to look out for the. It looks. I think Saku said that there's an open 8 and 9 p.m. slot on Sunday Showdown. So if you want to play on Sunday, hit up Saku. You can use the Stream Match Request channel in Discord to contact us. That's probably the best way to keep it pretty streamlined.
Do it.
So yeah, that's our matches for the week, and obviously our final show tomorrow night. And that's gonna do it for our show.
Yeah, that's gonna do it. Fish, you want to close us out?
Sure. Again, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you to my co-hosts again. And as always, stay safe and have a fantastic week, everybody. We will hopefully see you tomorrow night.
Take care, everybody.
Good night, everyone.